Craig, I'm here to do another Matterport how-to video, but this time we're going to do the blur tool. We're going to talk about the Matterport blur tool. You know, every time I say that, it's almost like a mouthful of words there. I almost get twisted up on my words. But before we get started real quick, I'm reflecting my iPhone to my computer screen because as it turns out, I'm on my Mac Mini and not my laptop. Therefore, I don't have a webcam, but I thought this would work out just fine. You know, I don't like just talking to a screen without, I guess, seeing myself. So I wanted that there, the little camera guy there. So if it's a little bit annoying to you, a little bit distracting, just maybe minimize it. But yeah, that's what we have there. But like I said, I want to talk about this Matterport blur tool. I know it's been out for a couple weeks at least. I believe it's still in the beta, but I just turned it on because before I did this video, I'm like, wait a minute, where's this button at? And so I'm actually going to show you where this button at as well. And we're going to learn together what this Matterport blur tool is. And now first, Matterport has offered some type of blurring tool for some time now. It was usually in the settings. You'll see a little setting called like automatic blur. I've always had mine off because I've had issues in the beginning when I used them once or twice where it's blurring different pictures and it was almost very distracting to a user looking at all these blurred, you know, dots or such inside the video, inside the tour. But apparently now we have this manual blur tool that could, you know, be very useful and helpful for, you know, technicians or 360 photographers rather. If you scan a garage and there's a visible license plate, or maybe there's pictures on the wall of a family that the people don't want visible, host of different reasons, this Matterport blur tool can be useful for you. But like I said, we're going to go ahead and click your settings. It'll pull up to this page. Go ahead and click manage. And if you scroll down, you know, there's some options here, measurements, social media, VR, blah, blah, blah. Scroll down till you see blur brush. Next to it, we'll have that beta indicator because like I said, this blur brush tool is still in beta as it turns out. So if you want to, you can go ahead and turn that on. And just like I said moments ago, I have my automatic face blurring off because that does not work for my situation here. So I got the blur brush on, and now if you can read this down here, it says once a blur has been applied, the only way to remove the blur is to reprocess the space from capture. And so find the space, boom, here. Okay, and now I have my space pulled up here, and now we're gonna test out this blur tool that I just turned on. Of course, just like all spaces, you just click the little red edit button to kind of pop into the space here. Move my little camera guy on over. All right, and as you can see here, a new option since I enabled that blur tool option, boom, it's right here. It looks like a little, like a raindrop, if you will. Okay. And now it looks like just how it would be like on the level or the measure because it has floor 1 and floor 2 because of course there is 2 floors in this house. Not sure what to blur in here yet. This is an old space I did like last year or such. Gorgeous house, a little cluttered if you ask me, but nonetheless, gorgeous house. I'm just going to see what I can blur. You know, typically I don't blur anything. I have a property checklist I send to homeowners before I step foot, and it kind of tells them if you have anything personal sitting around or hanging on the wall, knock it down, take it down or cover it on up because with the camera can see it, it's going to be in that virtual tour. Okay, here's let's try one of these pictures. I want to see how it works. So enough yapping on my end. Let me cover up, you know, like this picture right here. Let's pretend that's a little family picture. Click in my blur tool. Click here to add. Okay, I'm adding. Use your mouse to paint the areas you want blurred. Hit escape to stop drawing. And then down here, I'm not sure if you guys can see it. There's a little right here. Boom. Okay. Right now it's on size 21. As you can see, if I increase the numbers, of course, that increases the size of the blur. It was set at default as 21. That's a pretty big blur there. Okay, let's see what it looks like. I just clicked it. Did you all see anything? Because I didn't. Oh, paint the areas. Okay, all I did was click it. Let's make this little guy a little bit smaller. Make him a lot smaller here. I just want to play around with this, see how it is. I'm holding down my mouse, and of course I'm making it in a box. You know, that's not bad. I'm impressed. I'm moving it just slowly here. It looks even slow on my screen. Excuse me. That's impressive, Matterport. That blur tool right there, that's actually outstanding. I see it mixes or blends in the colors from the surrounding area to kind of create a blur that blends in a little, a little bit there. It's not bad. At first, I thought it'd be one of those gray blurs or like a cloud blur, however that is. But that is not bad right there, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and click escape as the screen is telling me to. Hit escape. It actually didn't do anything. Oh, look at that. I just accidentally made a third blur. Dang. I'm hitting escape. It doesn't do anything. Let's try to erase it. Okay. Well, at least I know that. Apparently you can't erase a blur because I just erased a blur. But this is good news. Okay, earlier it was showing that if you make a blur, the only way to remove that blur is if you reprocess the space. But as it turns out, it does have this visible and private eye icon right here. And so in a way, if you make a blur that you don't like, or maybe you put in the wrong spot, as it turns out, I'm pretty sure you can just click the little eye and make it visible or make it invisible. There we go. So anyways, that was one of them. Let's go ahead and do this little picture here. I don't want to actually blur a photo because that's the last thing I want to do is pop up a photo of a family to test out a blur tool over YouTube. All right, let's do this little photo right here of this little painting. It looks French. That's my untrained eye just saying that painting looks French. Not sure. Click my blur tool again. Right now it's set at, 7 now. And let's go ahead and blur this little guy again. I'm holding down my mouse. I'm dragging along like I'm painting in like Windows 98. Moving along the border right here. And you really do see how Matterport kind of takes colors in from the surrounding areas and tries to blend it. I was giving props way too soon to Matterport as it turns out, because on this picture with a black frame, kind of like a white filler, and then the image in the middle, it appears that Matterport is pulling the darker colors from the frame and, in my opinion, distorting the image on the wall. Back in the living room, that first picture we just messed with, the blur looked fantastic. I mean, of course, that's my opinion. I'm sure other people say otherwise, but for the first time using it, it looked great. I'm sure I can clean this up a bit. Looks like I'm making it worse. But that's all she wrote, really. At least if you're needing to blur something, this blur tool has your back there. Let me click erase. Boom. I don't get it. Earlier, it said once you make a blur, you're unable to remove that blur. I'm wondering if they mean when you actually click publish. I'm not sure because I didn't like that blur. I erased it and it disappeared. Let me try to start the blur right here in some white space. Nope, it's still pulling in the darker colors from the frame. But no worries there. I will still use this confidently because if there is something that I need to blur out real quick, I am sure the homeowner or the client in that case will be okay with a random, blur on a picture than actually having something they don't want in the virtual tour visible here. But I think because I'm using my reflector system, showing my phone on my screen, in this tour, because it is pretty big, it's kind of slowing down everything here. But I mean, that blur tool is pretty self-explanatory. You saw me do everything for the first time, exactly what you're about to do there. I simply went up to my settings. I enabled the blur tool in my settings there. And then once I clicked the edit on a space, a little raindrop or some kind of water drop appeared. And that, of course, is a blur tool. You click the little plus sign like anything else you add within a virtual tour on Matterport. Adjust a circle there, how big you want that little guy, how small do you want him. And you can just simply, blur things out. Let's see if I can remove this leaf. Not too bad. It definitely looks like something was there and then something was poorly removed from that location. Um, but you kind of see how the blur tool works. It's a little delayed when I move my mouse up and down. Essentially, I'm already on the down movement, but it's showing it's still on the up movement. I'm sure that's just because the thing is so powerful, in the back end's thinking a lot. But yeah, you can basically blur anything, I suppose, here. As you move along the wall, the blur line color changes. I think it's just trying to find a color to match as I'm kind of going along here. Let's see if you can remove an outlet. I'm just curious now. That isn't bad. That's not too bad at all. Okay, as you guys can see, my old crazy blur, I'm just playing around. I'm just curious to see if you wanted, for some odd reason, need to remove a blemish off the wall, if it would look all right. Not so bad. So you can actually use this blur tool not only to, let's get out of that, not only to, see, you can delete right here. Not only to hide, faces out of family portraits, maybe diplomas hanging on the wall, or anything personal and sensitive. You can also possibly use this tool to cover up blemishes, like I just did here. I can't really think of an actual real world usable example. But yeah, what if someone wanted something off the wall? Can you do that? Let's just see here again in a new clean spot. Let's say they don't want this visible on the wall. Can you remove it? Kind of. At this point, it looks like you punched a hole in the wall and you covered it with some patching. But it could work, I suppose, if you needed to. But right now, obviously, I'm just playing around with this. You guys got the point in the first minute and a half of this video. So really, that's all she wrote. I just wanted to hop on here real quick to test out this blur tool. I've been hearing about it, seeing about it, reading the comments about it in the groups, especially the Matterport official user group on Facebook, the Moog group, if you're not a part of that. And so I thought, hell, I have a couple minutes before a job. Might as well hop on here and take a look at this blur tool. Like I said, I've never had to really, use it that I can remember in a real world example. No one has asked me to, hide pictures or diplomas or such on the wall. Because before I arrive to the property, I always email the homeowner or the real estate agent, whomever I'm working with, a property prep checklist. And it kind of says, if you could see the camera could see it. And so if you have pictures on the wall, diplomas, anything personal you don't want in the scan, to have it removed, covered up, or whatnot, just to ensure that nothing sensitive is being broadcasted, to the Matterport world, or in this case, all over YouTube, because I'm doing a house over a YouTube video. But enough of me yapping. That's all I got. I'm trying to think of videos. So if you guys need help with something, maybe with sales or operational or platforms, technology, what have you, maybe even creating the floor plans, put a comment below or email me. My email is on my profile. And let me know. And yeah, I will create a video for that. See what kind of fun we can create from there. But until next time, remember, keep Matterporting the world. Is that even a word or a verb? I'm not sure, but that's what I do every day. I Matterport the world, and that's what I tell people. Have a good one.